Thank you for watching an episode of Straight Up Gay Talk. If you're a straight man or a straight woman, if you're a trans man or a trans woman, whoever you are, and you want your voice to be heard, please scan the QR code on your screen and let's have a conversation. I look forward to hearing from you. I love you all. I always try to do a check for my guests and see how well they are versed with the LGBT glossary of terms and conditions.
Okay,
I have a feeling you're going to be good at this,
maybe.
but let's see let's see where it goes.
Okay.
Asexual, what does that mean to you?
That's a person that's generally not interested in sex. Somebody that really isn't attracted to either member of the opposite sex, and they don't really even think about sex. I think I don't know if that's the way that the dictionary defines it, but that's how it's been described to me when people say they're asexual. They're like, yeah, I'm not attracted to anybody. I'm not attracted to having sex. I mean, I don't know if that means they eventually don't become attracted or if they've just never met anybody. To me, it sounds like low libido,
Yeah,
like low sex drive.
I think that's a perfect definition. And I think the next term is kind of interlinked with that. Aromantic. What do you think that is?
That's the same thing. It's just a person that's not really into romance and doesn't really get those romantic tinges and the feelings of wanting to be with someone. They again, it's foreign to me because I'm exactly the opposite. But yeah, I think that isn't that what that means? Is someone that's
Yeah.
just not into courtship and romance and the whole fairy tale and yeah.
Exactly. Like asexual and aromantic are kind of interchangeable. There's a little overlap there, but yeah, I think that's a good way to define that. Gender binary. What's that?
A gender binary or non-binary?
Gender binary.
Oh, that's a person that, from what I understand, is that's a person that really sees it in black and white. They see it as, there's male and there's female and there's nothing in between, or they at least they themselves identify as a cis male or cis female, which means they're traditional, they're standard, I guess. I'm not going to say normal because I don't like that word, but
I think that's exactly what it is.
yeah,
It's man or woman, basically.
yeah.
That's that's what it is. This one, I think you're gonna be kind of like the expert in defining, but let's see. Gender dysphoria.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that is like for when I was diagnosed with that, I was, oh God, in my 20s, mid 20s. I mean, I didn't know what it was before then. I just thought I knew of the term trans. And transgendered was a new term. When I first found out about transgenderism, it was called transsexualism, and I was 19. So gender dysphoria is it's the distinct feeling of not belonging to the gender that you're born into. That feeling of being the opposite of, or not necessarily the opposite of, but not feeling like you fit into the constraints that society puts on the gender you were born at birth.
That's that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, used to be that people would say, "Oh, I feel like a man trapped in a woman's, or a woman trapped in a man's body, or a man trapped in a woman's body," and that is reductive. I mean, I don't even really know how a person would know what that feels like, but for me, it always felt like, and I mean, I felt this from the age of 3. I mean, I remember praying every night. I'd be like, God, please make me wake up a girl or make this go away. I just felt like I didn't fit anything that was expected of me. I wanted to play with the girls. I wanted to play with girls' toys. I didn't want to do anything the guys did. I didn't behave like guys. My dad always said that I was a sissy because I cried all the time, but I was just super emotional, super empathic. I didn't want to fall down. I didn't want to wrestle or, you know what I mean? I was
Sure.
just, yeah, I was not interested in anything that had to do with boys. I mean, and then I tried. For the longest time. I tried to fit into that role, but
So you
yeah,
tried to be straight at one point?
oh God, yeah, yeah. I thought I had to be. I mean, I was raised religious and I was raised Catholic, and there wasn't any room for homosexuality when I was raised. I mean, that was definitely not a cool thing. There was like I remember my grandma, she lived in this one section of town called German Village in Ohio, and our family would always go over to her house for like after church on Sundays. And there was a couple that lived next to her, a gay couple, and everybody always called them the kooks, and they made fun of them
Oh, why is that?
because
Oh,
my
because
family,
they were gay, just because they.
yeah, because they were gay, and my family was extremely homophobic. They still are. My grandma wasn't, believe it or not. 80-year-old lady is like, stop calling them names. They're nice neighbors. They always bring me gifts and they're very friendly. And my grandma was one of the first people that knew that I was trans. I mean, when I was, let's see, was this before I was married, anytime that I would go out dressed as female, I would go to my grandma's house to change back before I would go home because she was really accepting of that. And most of my extended family doesn't even know that. But I'm not even in contact with my extended family,
Really?
except for two cousins that have kept in touch with me and been supportive. My entire family has rejected me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was all the way back, in the 90s. So, I mean, it's not nothing new.
So you
And
have
yeah, I feel bad for them.
some of your family you haven't talked to since the
Oh
90s?
gosh, yeah, all of no, a lot of them. So I mean, there have been some that were kind of they were nice to me when they saw me, but it wasn't like they accepted me completely. I had a couple cousins that for a while they sent me Christmas cards and they used my female name, but when push started coming to shove, and the whole political climate right now. And as far as, I changed my birth certificate and that's not, they think that's not cool. I mean, I'm not even a part of their whole religious scene anymore. So like, I was raised Catholic and I went deep into Christianity. And the deeper I went, the more hypocrisy that I saw, the more I understood the Bible, the more I realized most of the people that claim to be Christians don't really follow the Bible. So it just made me like not want to be a part of that anymore.
Do you still consider yourself a Christian or an atheist or an agnostic?
No, I believe there's something more than us. I think that, I mean, I really believe that I'm more like I study a lot of the quantum realities and how there's more than one reality and how all our choices branch off into different universes. I mean, I'm a real science fiction buff. So I wouldn't say I'm an atheist or agnostic. I would say that I'm not going to deny there's probably some kind of a creative force behind our existence, but I don't think he's a white guy sitting in the clouds.
Right.
Right. And I
Hmm.
don't, or whatever color, depending on what religion a person believes in, I don't. Religions to me are just an excuse for people to exclude other people. They become really club based. You're
Yeah,
not
it's very
like us,
tribal.
and you're
Yeah,
you're not good, or you're a bad person if you're not like me, and I don't like that.
very tribalistic
Yeah,
behavior.
because if there is a creator, then we were all created. How could some of us be right and everybody else be wrong? If there is a creator, that creator has to have made us the way we are, which means there's no mistakes. Where I was made to be trans. I wasn't like, this isn't a choice. This is how I was born. And I think gay people are born gay. I don't think they decide to be gay one day. I mean, who's going to pick this life? It's a hard life to be outside the gender constraints. It's not, it's still hard for anybody to make the decision to be authentic. I was just at a meeting today. There's a festival that happens in April called The Joy Who Lived, and it's trans and non-gender conforming artists putting on a festival, plays and all kinds of different workshops, and it's a really cool thing. I went last year, but I wasn't a part of it. And today they had an organization meeting at a coffee shop. And I mean, there was several different gender people on the spectrum in several different places. There are trans females and trans males, but then there's also people that are gender non-conforming, which means they don't identify as either. And that didn't even exist when I transitioned. That's fairly recent development in psychology. So
Right.
yeah, and I don't know, there are people there that are spiritual and people there that aren't, but it doesn't feel like a club.
Mhm.
Like church, I was heavily involved
Yeah.
in church for a long time.
Yeah, my wife and I just started. It was she had her pick of the litter. She picked the church that we currently go to, and it's one of the only few LGBTQ churches that exist.
Which one is it? United Methodist or?
It's the Christian Church of Mission Hills.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so and it's like night and day to the other churches that we audited before we got there. And they don't even collect. They don't even
Good.
collect. They don't even collect money. And it's just like it feels like really like authentic. And yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would never deny anybody the right to believe anything. I think there's a line in the Bible that says, "Let each man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling." And to me, what that means is it's between you and God.
Yeah.
And I don't get to tell you what to
Mhm.
believe, and you don't get to tell me. I mean, anybody that thinks that they have the right to tell other people how to believe or not believe,
Yeah.
that to me is in direct contradiction of the actual Bible. But
Yeah, where it gets really really squirrely is like when the hierarchy, the people that are on top of the hierarchy are saying you have you have to believe this or else. Like
yeah,
this is the truth or else. Like,
yeah,
that's where it kind of gets like there's no the critical thinking goes out the window and like
yeah, yeah. And I think that they keep forgetting that, first of all, the text of the Bible is heavily translated, and every translation changes things. Because I used to have, I don't know if you know what a parallel Bible is, but a parallel Bible is when it's one book, but oh, it's 444 right now, 444.
Oh, 4444.
Yeah, I always like to call attention to angel numbers like that.
Are you a
But
numerologist?
yeah, no, for fun, just for fun. But I notice it. It seems like I notice that number in 222 all the time. But a parallel Bible is like it's one book that has four different translations in it or five.
Yeah, I have one of
That
those.
way, yeah, you can study the different
Yeah.
interpretations.
You can like I think it's like you have like the King James, the New King James, the NASB, and like there are several versions of it, and you can look at how it's translated from the original
Yeah.
text.
My favorite always was the Amplified, because the Amplified Bible will take one word and then in parentheses it'll say like five words that it also could mean. It's like just shows you and then the other thing is too is that, and people don't talk about this a lot in Christian churches, but there are several books that were a part of the early Christian history that aren't even included. I mean,
Hmm.
Mary Magdalene had a book, and her book is not in the Bible because it was decided to, they decided which books to put in and which books to take out. So that bothered me, and the fact that it was just white guys that were translating it for kings. I mean, the whole patriarchal society type thing. So yeah, and that's why a lot of the legislation in our country. I mean, our country is supposed to, it's supposed to, not be a specific religion, but our country seems to have a lot of people in our country seem to think that the laws should follow a Christian belief structure, and that eliminates a lot of people.
Hmm.
that don't necessarily believe that. But
So let's continue with the words.
yes,
Gender fluid. You might have a great understanding of this.
yeah, that's people that actually feel like they possess both and different in different capacities at different times. Like sometimes they feel more feminine, sometimes they feel more masculine, and they want the freedom to express themselves in both ways. And you know that's the most challenging to transphobic people because they'll see a man in a dress with a beard or something that a person they perceive as female, but she has a low voice and no breasts, or she's binding her breasts, wearing a binder, so they're just people that don't want to be told they can be either or, and that's quite prominent. There's a lot of people that I meet in the trans community that are gender fluid.
Hmm. What's intersex to you?
Intersex is a person that's born outside the standard chromosome of male and female. So I think the last seminar I went to, there's either 20 something or 30 something different chromosomal mixes that a
Mhm.
person can have. So just like autism is on a spectrum,
Right.
gender is really on a spectrum. And so a person that's intersexed can have characteristics of both genders anatomically. So there are like women that are born assumed to be female, but they don't have ovaries. Or there's men that are children that are born assumed to be male, but they have other characteristics in their anatomy that has female identification. So a chromosome test is what determines a lot of the intersex. There used to be a word called hermaphrodite. They don't use that word much anymore. They use the word
Right.
intersex.
Non-binary. What does that mean to you?
That's kind of similar to gender non-conforming and gender fluid. Non-binary means a person that doesn't identify with the extremes of male or female. So again, that's rejecting the notion that there's only two genders. The binary world is there's either men and there's women, and non-binary is a person that feels either a little of both or neither.
Right. What about pansexual or pan?
Pansexual, that's how I identify. Pansexual is a person that is attracted to any gender. I'm not actually attracted to a person's gender romantically or
Mhm.
intimately. I'm attracted to a person's,
Intellect.
yeah, brain. It's also something called sapiosexual. That's another term. But pansexual means I don't have a gender preference. I've actually had relationships with men and with women, and I'm open to have relationships with trans people or non-binary people. I don't really pay attention to a person's gender.
Right.
Doesn't really matter to me.
All right. Well,
Did I get an A, teacher?
you got an A, man. I think
Excellent.
you had the questions in advance, so you cheated somehow,
No, I
but it's
didn't. Oh wait,
okay.
I already knew all of them. Yeah. No, I mean, and the interesting thing is a lot of this didn't exist when I transitioned. I mean, I transitioned in 1995. That's a long time ago. And they
Yeah,
didn't have the
exactly
word
30
trans.
years ago, huh?
Yeah, they
It's
didn't
your
have
it's your 30-year
transgender.
anniversary.
Yeah, they didn't have transgender or non-binary, or I mean, they may have been talking about it, but the initialism LGB, it didn't have a T in it when I transitioned. Because
Mm,
I actually started living as female January 1st, 1994. I didn't have gender affirming surgeries until December of 95. So I started identifying as female, wearing female clothes, female name, January 1st, 1994. So that's almost 32 years pretty soon.
wow.
Yeah, long
Okay.
time ago.
I know.
Yeah, and yeah, I was fortunate to have a really good psychiatrist because I went to him initially. My ex-wife found him because it was supposed to help cure me. but he wasn't about that. He was about helping you be who you are and find out who you are. And once my ex-wife decided to move out, my psychiatrist asked me if I wanted to do the real life test. And that was a thing I don't think they do that anymore. But so before you could have gender affirming surgeries, you had to live as the opposite gender for a year to prove that that was what you really wanted and that you could exist in that gender. So I had to live as female for a year before I could have surgeries. And actually, it went for more than a year. I went almost 2 years. Yeah, because I was fighting the custody case. I didn't want to have the surgeries in the middle of the case and other factors that were involved in it. But yeah, 32 years. So a lot of the terms weren't even around. They didn't even have not it was called transsexualism, not transgenderism. I mean, now you don't say transsexual because that has a delineation
It's like
of,
calling someone a tranny or transvestite. It's
I guess, yeah,
like an
because it's
outdated term, right?
yeah, it's outdated, but it's also like exclusionary to the point where, okay, so there's actually, like the trans community is not a monolith. There's actually factions of the trans community that doesn't accept other factions.
Right.
So, people think, oh, all trans people love all trans people. No, there's not.
Right.
There are people that are like, well, if you don't have the surgery, you're not really trans, or, which I don't agree with any of that. I think a person should be able to identify the way they want to identify. And I don't think I have any business telling them they're trans or not, or they're legitimate or not. I really think that before all this political stuff came up with the orange guy, the big orange blimpy dude, before Trump got in office and started directing all this vitriol towards, and all the lies and stuff towards trans people, I didn't even talk about it. I mean, because it's been so long ago, it's not even a thing that came up. But when it was 2016, I think it was 2016 when North Carolina made the first bathroom law about you couldn't go to the bath, you had to go to the bathroom in the gender you were born in. And that was like, oh, hell no, we are not going backwards with this. And that's when I started to become more vocal about it and talking about it. Because
Mhm.
before then, I didn't think, I don't know. It was like, why talk about that? It's not
Right.
anybody's business. And, it can really quickly, like when I was a manager at a company that I worked at in the film industry, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the people that worked for me knew, but I was told by one of the other managers that I couldn't really discuss that without breaching the inappropriate discussions, clauses for being a manager because it's kind of like talking about sex,
Sure.
I mean, and there were gays and lesbians that worked for me. They people knew they were gay or lesbian, but it was like that discussion wasn't allowed in the workplace because it was considered part of the hostile workplace, or like if somebody was transphobic or homophobic, then a person would feel unsafe. But then there were also conservatives that didn't want to know about that and they didn't want to talk about that because they felt uncomfortable. It was really a weird world. I mean, at least no matter how hard the government and the MAGA movement tries to push us backwards, it can't go back because when I transitioned, well, I lost all my friends, and I mean like two out of. I mean, I was in a band and we had dozens of friends and dozens of people that were affiliated with the band or bands that we would play concerts with and shows with and sound men and recording studio people. And across the board, nobody wanted to be associated with me. But
Wow.
nowadays, everybody knows somebody that's gay or lesbian or trans,
Mhm.
almost everybody. And so we have way more allies than we ever had. So you can't put it back in the box. They can't make us go away.
You can't unbake the cake.
Yeah, so I think that, one of the positive things about it too is that, and I tell people this a lot of time, a long time. People are like, "Oh my God, it must be so hard dealing with the stuff that's going on." I'm like, "Yeah, but understand, everybody that has identified as transphobic or against the trans people, they're not going to be able to hide when all this goes the other way, because it will. When this goes back to being, I have a feeling that within 10 years, trans people are going to actually be celebrated instead of, isolated and ostracized and separated out, because several cultures in the past cultures, have elevated trans people in Aboriginal cultures here, Native Americans. If you had somebody in your family that was born that was non-gender conforming, your tribe was seen as closer to God. I mean, your family.
Right.
And your family was like kind of famous in the tribe because you had one of those spiritual people. So, yeah, I think we're eventually going to go back. It happens with every social and every civil rights and civil progress. It goes forwards and then it goes back a little bit. Then it goes forwards and it goes back a little bit.
Right.
But the problem is, like with fascism in Nazi Germany, when that was, when that was conquered, when that was destroyed, or when that was overcome, a lot of the Germans a lot of people that were Nazis, they went in hiding. They were ashamed, and they were afraid of having retribution, and heaven forbid being attached to any kind of atrocities, or the death camps or any of that. But now people aren't going to be able to hide because there's social media. And if they put anti-trans stuff on their social media, or it doesn't have to be anti-trans, it can be anti-immigrant, it can be, excuse me, anything you put on social media, it's there forever, man. I mean, so people won't be able to hide. It'll be a lot. So I think one of the positive things is it brought all those people out of the shadows. And now we actually get a really good idea of how many people are still in that place where they think they have the right to tell a person what they can do with their body. Weird.
I think it's
Yeah.
going to be. I think you're right. Like it's similar to the civil rights movement and the women's right to vote and things like that. I mean, and
Yeah.
the gay pride boom in the 90s.
Yeah.
Eventually, time is on the side of whatever is new. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna get there. I think that's a good note to end on.
Okay.
Welcome to Straight Up Gay Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching an episode of Straight Up Gay Talk. If you're a straight man or a straight woman, if you're a trans man or a trans woman, whoever you are, and you want your voice to be heard, please scan the QR code on your screen and let's have a conversation. I look forward to hearing from you. I love you all. If you like, comment, and subscribe. My pet giraffe, who has pancreatic cancer and has had one stroke and two heart attacks, will survive.
So long, gay boys!